Well, hello everyone and welcome back to Online Darts, another lockdown edition. Although lockdown is nearing the end, we've got 3 times world champ Glen Durrant with us. Glen, first of all, how are you?
I'm okay. Like I said, it's been unprecedented times. You know, sometimes I was, really high in the sense that I was with my family a lot, did jobs that, you're probably never ever going to do. And at times really low, confidence and just trying to find that will to practice when you don't know you've got a game. But one of my strengths is I've always been able to practice on my own, and sort of culminated last week in a good tournament with, the likes of Nathan Aspinall, Michael Smith, Chris Dobie, etc. And so I knew my game's on track now, and I had Mac Elkin down here last week. So, I feel really lifted, quite liberated, and just looking forward to getting started now.
I know we spoke to you early in lockdown and you said you were trying out a new dart. Have you stuck with the new one that Target made for you?
Yeah, no, it didn't work. It was thinner in my fingers, which was the idea of trying to get more 180s. But then you took away my strength of finishing. So it might have solved one problem, but made the other situation worse. I'm actually using the same darts now that I started using round about the World Grand Prix last year. So I'm about 8-9 months into them now. So they're quite worn, and honestly, I'm flying in practice now. And just had a great session there before talking to you, Phil. And I'm ready to go next week now. Got a spare set of darts for the worry of a point snapping or losing a dart, etc. So I've been able to wear them in a little bit, but I'm still using the same darts that took me to the top of the Premier League.
We'll come on to that in a second, but I'm just going to rewind to that Liverpool Premier League night. When you left Liverpool, did you ever envisage that we'd now be coming into July and we wouldn't have thrown a competitive dart since?
I was quite selfish. I said, I don't mind what happens, just please let me play in Newcastle. I had approximately 500 people going. It's 40 minutes from my house. I was playing Peter Wright. I wish I hadn't said it, because, when you say things like that, you get people coming back and saying, no, there is a bigger picture here, Glenn. There's people dying, etc., etc. So you've got to be really careful what you say. No, it's been unbelievably strange times, but it's given me a real desire to get back playing darts. I'm never going to be complaining again when I'm stuck in Hanover Airport and there's a 2-hour delay. Just give me an airport right now and I'll be a happy man. But it just makes you just have a think. It's been great to spend time with Susan. Just got some work done to the house, etc. So but I'm itching to get back now.
I bet you were over the moon when that email came through to say Pro Tours are back 5 days in Milton Keynes then.
What I would say is I've had 20, 30 emails off the PD, PA and PDC. Unbelievable communication throughout the whole process, offering financial support, offering issues with people suffering with mental health. I've been so impressed. I come from a background where emails, communication, customer service, how you treat your customers, etc. And they've been amazing. And right throughout the process, they've been giving us dates of Premier League, and they've amended, offered a plan B. Mr. Hearn and Matt Porter must be on plan Z right now, but right throughout the process, the players have been fully involved.
Now, we've all seen that 9-page document, I think, of what it's going to be like when you get to Milton Keynes. Are you slightly apprehensive of that whole process?
I think just the excitement of playing outweighs that. Looking at the dossier and it could benefit a more methodical player like me, where you haven't got someone kicking at your ankles after I've thrown my 3rd dart, which can happen with really quick players. I did watch the German Super League and things like that. So, you've got to walk away, get a metre away before the player can come, and that could affect the real rhythm players. So I'm just trying to grab as many positives as I can. I'm trying to work out what I walk into that hotel with, because once you enter the bubble, there's no coming back out, Phil. So, you know, it's new to us all. My conclusion, though, is that I've worked hard, I feel good, and I just want to play darts. And it's possibly, you know, the winners will be the ones who adapt best.
Now we have got a restart date as well. Obviously, you said you've been practicing really hard. That first few days, will we find out the ones that haven't been putting the effort in during lockdown quite quickly?
I mean, someone like a Jamie Hughes, it won't surprise me if he tells me he's picked up his darts for the PDC at home and that's it. And he'll get on the board and his first 12 darts will be, you know, 4 180s. It's, you know, people are different. Possibly. What will be interesting is, you know, the Chris Dobies, the Nathan Aspinalls, the Andy Boltons, the, you know, people who've really gone hard on the online darts and winning things. Dave Chisnell, Simon Whitlock. It'd be really interesting to see how they perform. I know, talking to Chris Dobie, he's ultra confident about the start, and you know, I've got my fingers, toes, and everything crossed that he gets his Blackpool place, because, you know, I want Chris to do well. He's, you know, certainly probably right up there as my favourite PDC player. So it'll be interesting to see. But I've never heard of the name, you know, my name, Steve Beaton, Peter Wright. You know, them guys haven't done the online stuff so much. So it'll be interesting, Phil, how it all pans out.
With the way the rankings have been done as well, you now move into the top 16 for the first time in your career. But that also has added pressure now for a couple of reasons. One, obviously, you're in that top 16. You're looked at as an elite player. And two, being seeded 16, we all know how that works in the pyramid system. Are you looking to try and get into 15th and higher before the match play?
Yeah, definitely. And I'll always answer a question honestly. In respect of the pressure, being the BDO #1 for so long, you know, going to the British Open with 1,000 entries. I remember, Phil, going to the Dutch Open, 5,000 entries. I got beaten in the final against Mark McGeaney, and you'd think someone had died. Oh, never mind, Glenn. So I've always had that target, that pressure. So being 16th in the world, I'm seen as a real positive. But I also like my darts, you know, and I know that if the section was right now for the match play, it's Michael, Gary Anderson and James Wade. So, yeah, of course, look who's second seed, you know, Peter Wright, third seed, Gerwin Price. There's not an awful lot between them. You know, Michael hasn't done a lot of online darts. I guess we're not really sure where his game is right now. But I'll answer your question honestly. I am looking to get to 15 or 14. And I would like to stay seeds. I've even looked at that Stephen Bunting's around about 14 grand behind me. Because I think it'll be a real positive, a real you know, tick in the box to say that I'm, for the match play, you know, only my second ever, I'm seeded, and you know, it just shows you what a great start I've had to my PDC career.
No, agreed. Everyone said that Glen Durrant would get to the top 16, but have you done it quicker than what you ever envisaged as well?
Oh, by far, Phil. I mean, do you know, honestly, it's quite funny, you know, Glen Durrant will never make it in the PDC. I never read an awful lot of them. I never, you know, if anything, I just read a lot of positivity, a lot of BDO players and fans sort of willing me to do it. I didn't see an awful lot of that I wouldn't succeed or do well. But I wasn't sure. I always said, you know, that them 3 BDO world titles would be worthless if I was still sat in 98th place right now. No, it's gone way quicker. But, you know, like I said, it's, you know, I keep raising the bar and I continue to. I feel fit enough. I feel strong enough. I've sort of looked after myself a little bit in the, you know, during this pandemic. And I want top 10 now. You know, I'd love top 8. I'd love to, you know, do well in the TV tournaments, because I think that's where my strength is on a stage. You know, playing the World Match Play in front of no crowd. I played Adam Smith-Neil in a World Masters final in front of 27 people, so I'm used to them noises that players have never heard before. So it's, you know, it's just really exciting times.
Just touching on what you said there about obviously breaking into the top 16 and you weren't sure. Now that you've done it so quickly, I know no one can ever take those 3 world titles away from you, but does part of you think, if only I'd jumped earlier?
Oh God, no. Yeah, and like I said, honesty, I promise you, I'll give you. I've got no regrets in my life. The only regret is I wish I was 30 right now. You know, and that's what I say to Nathan and Chris Dobie, the Michael Smiths. They're going to be very rich men if they dedicate themselves, apply themselves, and continue to improve, because it's a wonderful sport to be involved in right now. And obviously, I'm 50 this year, so I'm trying my best to. I still think my best is ahead of me. I still think I've got 2 great years to come. And one of the questions that you may be asking is that I would love to put a PDC TV title on my resume, before I retire. And the planned retirement is 55, but I've been watching the Motor Start and just, watching Martin Adams at 62, 9 darters, 105 averages, and I haven't got a throw that can really go wrong, and I always said that about Martin Adams, so for me, it's just about managing my body, and, mentally I feel strong right now, so it's just the next 5 years is, PDC is where I want to be, but no regrets about looking back.
I'm guessing as well, talking about age, the Indian summer that Peter Wright's having in his career as well obviously gives you hope and inspiration as well, that everyone raves on about the youth, and the youth are brilliant. However, at the moment, it's the older generation that are still setting those trends.
Yeah, Gary Anderson, I think I'd put in the same bracket as well. When I sat backstage in the Premier League, it was a very mature Premier League, a real mixture of young lads and people just turning 50. So, I feel good. I feel really good, and it's not like there's no chore about practicing. I practice between an hour and 3 hours a day every day, and my practice is as good now as it was when I was winning BDO titles. It's as good, if not better, than it was last year. And I feel like a lot of the scrutiny's off me these days. It's not like when I walk into a tournament as how am I going to play now. So yeah, I feel fine.
Do you also find it flattering now as well that when these majors are coming around, your name's in the mix to win it with all the pundits? Because I know that in few tournaments that you've had a little bit of a pop at pundits for writing you off and stuff like that. So I know you read everything and look at social media. And now they're actually talking about Glen Durrant can go on and win these big tournaments. That must give you huge confidence as well.
I remember being 4 to 5 favourite to win Lakeside. I think that was the biggest shock I ever seen when I looked at the bookies odds. I know with the bookies odds now for a tournament, I'm round about the 18 to 1 to 33 to 1, which is, you've always got the red hot favourite there with Michael and, Gerwin Price and Peter Wright. Gary Anderson won't be that far. Nathan Aspinall's flying right now. Michael Smith, he looks so fit and healthy right now. It's going to be great to see how he plays darts going back. So I think, it is nice to see my name next to Mensa, next to Chizzy, next to Darryl Gurney, and it is flattering, yeah. And I just think it just shows the strides I've made in the PDC.
Looking at the match play as well, we're still at the moment unsure of the venue. I think, if we're being honest, Milton Keynes is probably the front runner, although Barry would love to have it back at the Winter Gardens with a limited crowd. Do you think that if you can perform well under those conditions at the Summer Series, it then fires you in to the match play in a great spirit, knowing what's going to happen and everything like that as well?
Yeah, confidence is a huge part of the game, Phil, and I think whoever does well in the Summer Series has the real potential to go and do well at Blackpool. But a stage game is different to a floor game, and usually the Michaels, the Peters, etc. I've mentioned before will cream will rise to the top there. But confidence is a big thing, and people will be looking at the game. Have I done enough during this period? Have I done too much? So it's going to be, like I say, it's really exciting times for the players and the fans. But I go on every word. I read your page every day, and whether it was you or Dan Dawson who said, there's a real chance or real hope now that even Blackpool could have a limited crowd. And as a player, you're just like, just keep feeding me that positivity. But if I was a bookie, I would say it's going to be played behind Milton Keynes. And obviously, I've got one eye on the Premier League as well. I would, when I see that there's a a second wave or local lockdowns in Leicester. I'm just praying it doesn't go that way, because, you know, financially and from my career, the finishing of the Premier League is, you know, is a big thing for me, because it's still a massive wage for 2020. If I can finish in 8th place of the Premier League, you know, it's still a brilliant payday. So, you know, just watching it's a bit like watching the weather, and that's exactly what I'm doing.
Speaking of the Premier League, there's two bits to this. We'll do the good bit first of all. Obviously, they've announced in Holland that there will be a crowd in Rotterdam for the 2 nights. Yes, it won't be full, but the Dutch government have said that we are allowing crowds into events. So you must be over the moon with that, knowing that you're going to get some sort of atmosphere in Rotterdam for that special double header.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So, like I said, just keep feeding me that positivity. That's great. You know, I'm playing Michael and Robert Holland, and you know, and obviously when this broke, you know, the news of, you know, playing Peter Wright in Newcastle and Michael, you know, I was crushed. But you know, it's whether it's in front of an empty crowd, 500 or 12,000, it'll just be a real honour to be, you know, playing the Premier League against the second greatest ever.
The other bit about the Premier League, obviously, not many people know this, but we were WhatsApping on finals night, and you were like, "Have you heard anything? Have you heard anything?" Can you still remember that elation you got when you found out that you were there? Because it's pretty unprecedented. Because at the time, how low down you were in the rankings, that the PDC have very rarely gone that low for a Premier League spot. And just what was that whole elation like when you found out that you were in?
Yeah, I couldn't really hack it, and I went to not Weatherby races. I went to the races, and you know, I just was talking to Mac, and Mac said around about 3 o'clock when he had Kim, he would hear about now. And you know, when it got to 4 or 5 o'clock, and I told him, do not tell me. I just want to watch the Worlds at 9:30. Hopefully after Peter had won, and hopefully hear my name like everybody else. And then about 6 o'clock, I said, "Look, have you heard anything yet?" And he went, "Honestly, Glenn, I haven't. It's not looking good now." And then he rang me at 7:05. Who do you fancy to win, Peter or Michael? I said, "Oh, I'm hoping Peter. It'd be great for him to win." And then he just blurted out, "Look, I can't hold it no longer. You're in." Of which I screamed up, you know, and Susan was in the shower or getting ready. I said, "Susan, I'm in the Premier League." So, you know, and people were texting me, "Have you heard anything yet?" Which I said, "No." I said, "So clearly it's not looking good." So my phone went crazy. But, you know, when Barry Hearn got on Sky and announced everybody, and yeah, it was a very, very, very memorable moment.
I know we haven't had the full Premier League, but just what's your experience been like so far to take in just a little bit of it? And obviously to sit top of the Premier League as well must be a special feeling right now.
Yeah, it's quite daunting when you walk in. I won't lie. You know, your best players in the world are there, and then you walk in as well. It's I remember going to a backroom Newcastle a few years ago, and it was very jovial. Phil Taylor with Adrian Lewis winding up Michael and Gary Anderson, etc. But I feel like it's been pretty serious, and a lot of the same people practice with each other, and I've sort of been on my own, doing my own thing. But something happens to me about half an hour before a game. I don't practice like they do. I'm on and off the hockey, whereas like a Mensa or Michael or a Nathan can be up there 3-4 hours. So I'm a bit of a watcher. So I've been watching how people practice, what do they do, etc. So it's been a real learning curve, but it's been brilliant. And you know, I would say to every player, just keep practicing hard, because you know, when opportunities like Premier Leagues come up, or semi-finals or TV stages, finals, winning titles, there's no better feeling in the world.
Going to delve back into some of the BDO stuff that's happened recently as well. First of all, were you quite surprised when Des was voted back in as chairman after everything that happened earlier on this year and last year? And the second part of that question is, obviously part of the BDO is now officially gone into liquidation. We've seen. Does that sadden you as well?
I won't make a lengthy answer, but I'll answer it. I nearly, when I won the third Lakeside, you go to a champions meal, And I've done my spiel about, you know, I've done it 3 times. I'm going to try and go for the PDC and see if, you know, things like that. Then Des got up and he spoke and he said something like, you know, if I could just ask Glenn to give me 1 year, and I really believed him. I really believed in him. I've got no problems with Des, you know, it was just my friends and family said, no, you've got to go to Q school. You've got to, you know, and thank God I made that decision, because it's just unbelievable how it's disintegrated. You know, I mean, from £1 million in the bank, 5 years ago, to liquidation, it's really, really sad. I was asked to get involved in a couple of the things, UCAD, Tri-Nations, you know, not directly, but I'm putting my weight behind Steve Brown, and, you know, the MAD. I'm going to be reading his manifesto. Is, you know, it's quite a lengthy read, he said, and so I think Milton Keynes would be good. And if I can do anything, which won't be a lot, but if I can attend a meeting from up north, if I can play an ambassadorial role up north, it might give me something to do when I do think about retiring in the future. I believe in Steve. You know, I believe in that. I like Tommy Thompson's a family friend. Des, I have no problems with Des. The guys at UCAD have sent me some nice messages to get involved in. So it is sad, but the BDO feels like a long time ago for me now. And I just feel very lucky that I was able to take £300,000 worth of lakeside money to really set me up in life. So it is sad, but we need an amateur game. We need, you know, we need darts at the root, whether it's amateur, Super League, county, etc. I do think there's a link there, and hopefully when I read Steve's brief, it will be about a link to the PDC. And, you know, I think golf have got it right at the moment, and, you know, the development tours, the challenge tours. So it'll be very, very interesting read. But yes, I'm very, very sad where the BDO is right now.
Just touching on obviously the mad stuff with Steve, I'm guessing what he's done with the JDC fills you with confidence as well. The fact he's taken the junior game to where it is now, that he wants to do the same on the amateur game, breeds confidence.
I like a guy who has vision. I like a guy who's a forward thinker, a decision maker, and everything he seems to touch turns to gold. And my feeling is, you know, and I've put my name to it, he hasn't said if he wants me or anything yet. I said give him some feedback, but, you know, I think I can give back to the game somehow. I can't let it affect my tour card and my PDC career, but I can offer support and guidance. And, you know, he's 3 or 4 hours away in Bristol from up north, so if there's things I can go and attend, where it's working with academies, working with leagues, you know, I need to read what he's got to say. But I do believe in Steve, and you know, that's the decision I've made, that if he wants my help, I'll be there.
Glenn, absolute pleasure sitting down and talking to you in lockdown, mate. I could sit for hours and talk to you, but we'll let you go on. I know you've got plenty to do, and we wish you all the very best for the summer series and, of course, the World Match Play on the horizon, mate. Thank you very much as always.
Keep up the good work with the online stuff. I'm following you all the way. I knew you'd be a success in anything you do. Good luck, mate.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you very much.